Thank you, everybody, and it's my pleasure to meet you all this morning. My name is Justin Floyd. I'm the CEO and I'm the founder of RedCloud. Quick bit of introduction around me. In fact, started my first business when I was 17, and here I am, almost 4 decades later, building out my 10th company, RedCloud. It's the company I'm the most proud of. It's a company that I've invested significantly, both financially and with my heart, most importantly, over the last decade, to build, which was the biggest limitator for me when I started off my first business, which was freedom to trade. And freedom to trade matters to a lot of people. It's the backbone in which the economy of the great economies of the world, like America, has been built on. The ability for small businesses to be able to transact and trade freely with the suppliers that they buy from in an equalized and democratized environment is probably the most important economic impact that anything can have. And today, unfortunately, that's been limited, and I'm going to talk to you in a lot of detail around that and why that's happening. In terms of my company, in terms of RedCloud, that I founded over a decade ago, we were really focused on building out the second generation of e-commerce. The first generation of e-commerce, if I was to give that a halftime report, I would say needs to do a lot better. It's done a great job for consumers. It's done a really bad job for small businesses. So I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail around that around my presentation shortly. But first of all, the numbers. So does this guy know what he's talking about? Well, 2 years ago, after an 8-year development cycle, really building out some great technology out in the UK, Cambridge, we built it using multiple people around the world. So we've got a really fantastic global international team that sits behind it. We launched and we crossed just over $2 billion worth of trading volume last month. And to give you an idea what that trading volume looks like, the types of products that get traded on our platform are products where small businesses, anyone from barbershops to convenience stores, small supermarkets to beauty salons, pharmaceutical stores, anybody that buys high volume, low margin products, the kind of stuff that sits and occupies 90% of your shopping basket, that's the kind of products that get traded through our platform by businesses looking to buy that kind of quality inventory. And I'll talk to you a bit later on about why that's so under threat at the moment and why open commerce, which is the second generation of e-commerce, why that's so important to change that. And so where I started my journey was this. 10 years ago, I solved the incredible growth of the internet and what was happening in the first generation of internet. And one of the most interesting stats that came out of that from me was just how many searches were being done on a day-to-day basis of businesses that are trying to find inventory. So give you specific examples around that. Take a convenience store, for example, that needs new food products or it needs new beauty products for its store, or take a barbershop that needs new combs or it needs new shampoo, or take a pharmacy that needs prescription pharmacy products in their store. All of these stores and all of these businesses trade and buy those products on a day-to-day basis, and it's the most painful part of their job. It's the most difficult part of what they do. If you can imagine, if you're a small business and you're a retailer and your business absolutely thrives and drives and survives on its ability to be able to buy the right product at the right time at the right price, it's a pretty ugly situation. And because it's so bad, 2019, when COVID happened, the world pretty much ran out of everything. And the headlines were full of all the problems around supply chain and why can't we find the right products at the right stores, and how come all of these products have suddenly run out, and how come we can't suddenly get the favorite products that we were used to getting on a day-to-day basis. And that's because the global B2B supply chain that was built almost 100 years ago to support that kind of high volume, constant purchasing of inventory is not fit for purpose any longer in the world of the internet. What that's meant is today, there are trillions of dollars worth of lost inventory currently sat around the world where businesses are trying to find that inventory and they can't track it anywhere. And so I'll give you a specific example of what that looks like. So if I'm a business now, let's say I'm a restaurant and I've run out of fish or pasta or meat that day, and my typical distributor that I normally do business with is either trying to charge me too much or doesn't have the products that I need for that, I will go online because that's my only choice. And I'll go on somewhere like Google and I'll try and figure out through Google where I can buy that from. This is what the Google search experience looks like. It's just terrible. It's littered with ads and different products and sponsored ads. It's very hard for me as a business to figure out what I should be buying and who I should be buying it from. Who are my other choices? Well, Alibaba, everybody's heard of, the big Chinese behemoth that's done so much kind of big e-commerce stuff in China, trying to bring those kinds of products into the US. And I think everybody knows how that's ended up. How that's ended up is Amazon are currently carrying almost 60% of their inventory as counterfeit products. These are big problems that are facing small businesses. And of course, the actual economic Death Star that used to be known as Amazon, what is the damage that that's created for B2B supply chains, and the way in which those small businesses buy inventory is almost incalculable. And so today we're looking at a world where if I'm a retailer, if I'm a small business, or if I'm a beauty salon, if I'm a barber shop, or if I'm a food shop, or if I'm a woman at home or a guy at home that wants to set up a new retail business and start trading online with a store, then the world of trying to find that inventory is really difficult. Billions of fakes on Amazon, predatory pricing in terms of the amount of money that Amazon and other e-commerce businesses charge those sellers to appear on their platform makes it almost impossible for any of those businesses to actually make any money. The brands themselves, brands don't trust e-commerce platforms any longer, because when they do trade on those platforms, often those brands are often actually masqueraded as, they're disguised, and ultimately they're replicated. And of course, ultimately, and what we've seen is the devastation of hundreds of millions of failed stores around the world that have been ill-served by e-commerce. And so when you look at the actual experience of the two main e-commerce platforms, the first generation of the internet, Shopify and Amazon, and how I find inventory, you can see for yourself just how difficult that is, and it's almost impossible. So we believe the solution to that is very simple. The solution is to build a new kind of open commerce environment, to use technology and to use AI to be able to do that in a way in which if I'm a business and I'm a small business and I need to find inventory and secure inventory at the right price, at the right time, on the right delivery terms, then I'm going to be able to do that using a trusted third-party platform where I know that the quality of that inventory on that platform and the authenticity of the inventory on that platform will actually mean that I can actually build my business off the back of that. And so the new modern retailer, the new modern business looks like this. It looks like a business that's able to very instantly and easily acquire the products that they need. So the specific use cases, for example, are, as a retailer, when I use an open commerce platform, I download an app. I can see on that app what inventory I can buy, at what price I can get it from, when that inventory can be delivered, at what kind of timescales I can expect on, what kind of discounts I could get, whether that inventory is quality inventory or not, whether it's actually is the real inventory, whether the real brands behind that actually exist. If I'm a seller, for example, today online, I want to know that if I'm going to sell that kind of products online, I want to know that where I'm getting it from is trusted and it's authentic and it's real. And so the supply chain that I talked about earlier on, the B2B supply chain that people have been so reliant on, hundreds of millions of businesses have been so reliant on for the last 50 years, that business today is really suffering. It's suffering from inventory shortfalls. It's suffering from the enormous difficulties of actually being able to kill the amount of counterfeit products that are entering into it. It's also suffering from the fact that there are hundreds of millions of small businesses that currently cannot access the quality of inventory and distribution they need to, because the first generation of e-commerce has dominated those supply chains to such a point. We believe that the second generation of e-commerce, the second generation of the internet, the age of the internet, needs to do a much better job for those businesses than has currently been done. And so by using AI, by using the second generation of e-commerce, it will enable businesses to avoid having to go through the incredible painful process of trying to find suppliers, trying to find new distributors, trying to find authentic brands to sell, trying to search for those kinds of products and items on anywhere from Amazon to Google. They can actually be in a position where they can now start to use the latest AI technology to actually find quality inventory at the price that they can afford, at a consumer experience they know will work for them, on terms that actually make sense for their business, and a way in which it can help their businesses grow more successfully. And that, for us, is what open commerce is all about. That's what we've been building for the last 10 years. And that's where, going back to where I started my presentation today, that's where you're seeing that kind of incredible uptake of numbers and revenue of volume and engagement of distributors, retailers, and manufacturers on our platform. So today we have now over 5,000 different manufacturers on our platform using our technology to help them extend and expand their product inventory into those kinds of businesses. We have hundreds of thousands of retailers who've actually downloaded the app and are using our app regularly to be able to actually find the quality inventory that they need. we've massively reduced the pain and the time and the effort involved in B2B buying to enable the entire experience to be done instantly, rapidly, and actually on the basis that it actually works for my business. We've also enabled now hundreds of thousands of these businesses to actually be able to succeed in the internet economy. So now they're able to grow their businesses more efficiently. They're able to grow their businesses on democratic terms using the right kind of technology to enable that technology, enable them to be able to buy better, sell smarter, and pay much more simpler than they can. And so for us, that's what open commerce is all about. You can read about us online, follow us on social media. You can see some of the incredible stuff we're doing. We run these events very regularly. It's great to see some of the great customer success stories up there. Thank you very much indeed for listening to me. Happy to take any questions that you may have. Yeah, so the typical purchasing cycle or typical purchase size can range significantly. What we've seen actually is that the average order value has actually increased fairly extensively from when we first started. So when we first started, retailers put very small orders on while they were getting used to the trust element on the platform. Now they're placing much bigger orders. One of the really interesting things we've also seen is that we're harnessing all this purchasing power. I mean, if you actually look at the biggest purchasing flywheel on the planet at the moment, the biggest purchasing flywheel on the planet is actually FMCG products that are bought from businesses, whether they're choosing to sell those products, i.e. via convenience stores, or whether they use those products for those businesses. That's the biggest purchasing flywheel currently on the planet. And when you connect that to the world's largest inventory of FMCG products, then you see the magic start to happen. And at the moment, and so far, the supply chain's really fundamentally failed to do that. It's failed to do that because it was built a very long time ago. It's built with, a lot of technical debt on it and dealt with multiple different technical systems trying to talk to each other. We spent a lot of time figuring that out, taking that problem away and creating a way in which then, going back to your original question, retailers were able to place any kind of order value. It could be really small, it can be really large, but they can do it in a very simple and efficient way.
So how do you verify that they're trained? You don't know the origin.
So all the brands that come onto our platform are verified. So we have some of the world's largest brands on our platform. We have people like Coca-Cola, Unilever, Procter & Gamble. This is their inventory. It's come directly from their factories, from their production lines. Those products are mapped all the way through the supply chain, the current supply chain, using our platform. So we're able to see exactly the exact inventory, what price it got sold at, whether it was the inventory that actually got shipped from that factory by the time it arrives at the retailer store. So when the retailer engages, they know full well that when they buy that product, they know that's where it's coming from. And today, that's not the way it works. I mean, so today, if you look at kind of Shopify or many of the Amazon sellers, they're pointed to wholesalers in Asia. They're pointed to wholesalers in kind of far-flung markets where they're told, if you want to sell inventory on our platform, guys, you're going to need to go and buy it from there. Or go and look on Google and see what you can find there. That is the most untrusted way in which to buy products in which my business survives on its ability to sell that kind of quality. Hello. How what, sorry? So at the moment, we market ourselves primarily through the brands. And so we approach brands like Coca-Cola, Unilever, Procter & Gamble, but an awful lot of kind of what I describe as tier 2 brands. And so many of these brands have been struggling for a long time to actually build out this kind of connectivity through to retailers and through to businesses. And so, of course, when we arrive with our platform, we say to them, look, you can use our technology in your current supply chain. You can now fully digitize that supply chain. You can actually create an environment in which your retailers can buy from you in a trusted way, and any business that wants to buy from you in a trusted way, and you can do that in a much smarter way than you're doing today. Of course, they really like it, and that's why we've seen. I mean, we sold some incredible numbers, right? I mean, we went from 0 to $2 billion in like 18 months, and that when you're looking to go back to your question, when you're looking at kind of very small unit values, sometimes like $100, $200, that's an awful lot of inventory that's being shifted through our platform. So in answer to your question, that's the way we did it. We went to the brands and we kind of built out our capability from that, and we got massive engagement from that very quickly from the retailers. Hello.
So I didn't quite understand what is your plan. You describe so many different problems you're attempting to solve. So it's not a storefront by itself. It's a back-end solution for companies like Procter & Gamble that sort of Shopify, they use yours. Is that what the model is?
Yeah, that's great. It's a great question. I mean, and we built this over an 8-year period. Actually, my previous businesses that I've been involved in, one of the businesses I founded actually was very focused on this problem around supply chain, and particularly around distributors and helping distributors qualify their inventory and able to get their inventory in front of retailers in a much more efficient way. So I had a very deep understanding of what the problems were and what existed around all of this. That was the bit that took the 8 years. I mean, we wrote out hard checks along the way. We raised almost $100 million in capital for our company, and some of those checks we wrote out were tough to do because we were building in a world which had never been built in. We were solving, and it was the only way to do it. The only way to solve the problem was actually to do an end-to-end solution right across the supply chain. We couldn't just kind of build an Android app, give it and create a kind of semi-marketplace around it and say, hey guys, use our app to go and buy inventory off Google and see how you get on with it. That's a Shopify play. We didn't believe that was the right thing to do. We believe that the fundamental dynamics that are sitting in the current global B2B supply chain are flawed. And the only way to resolve that problem is to create an open commerce technology platform that would enable multiple different problems that currently sit inside the supply chain to be solved, whether that's inventory tracking, whether it's the ability to be able to predict and project prices to a retailer instantly, whether it's for the retailer to be able to have an instant and easy way to access quality products, whether it was a way in which third-party service providers could link their products into a platform like that. We just started from a blank sheet of paper and did it really right from day one type stuff. And we continue to do so.
Say you're doing well when your $2 billion becomes $20 billion, what do you think the investment is for?
Yeah, I mean, we're growing fast, and we're growing fast. And I don't say that in a boastful way, right? We're growing fast because I think we've really solved a deep-rooted, seated problem that currently exists. And therefore, we become a very attractive proposition for our customers when we present this to them. Because we're solving a problem for them that's been around for so long, and it's caused so much pain for their business that when they meet RedCloud, they see this as a huge solution for them. And to specifically answer your question, we're expected to hit around about $5 billion by the end of this year in terms of trading volume. And we expect to hit around about between 75 and 80 million ARR off the back of that. We make our money through take rates, so we charge a take rate. So every single product that flows through our platform, we collect a percentage take rate on that. That's averaging 1.7% at the moment. That's increasing every month. And the reason that's increasing that take rate every month is because as we start to bring third-party service providers into the platform, so for example, we connect third-party logistics, we build technology which connects all these different fragmented parts, and we make it sing, basically. And when the singing happens, we start to make very good revenue off the back of that. Importantly, of course, our customers make better revenue. That's why they pay it. So businesses, small businesses, see a typical store is making like 4% margin. By the time you pay your credit card fees, you're making no margin. So we connected third-party payment processing and massively reduced those fees. We enable, by harnessing all this purchasing power of all these retailers, we're able to take that to the brands and create a real price efficiency through the channel. And so that's an everybody wins solution. The brand wins because they sell more product easier, more efficiently, faster, and they know where in the hell it's being sold to, and they know it's their brand. Secondly, the distributors make more money because the distributors now aren't involved with all the sales and marketing and managing of retailers. They've got technology that's really helping them do that job properly. They're turning their inventory cycles much faster. Typical distributor turns over their inventory 4 times a year. So what, you say? Well, so what means when you go to the shop, half the stuff that you're looking for isn't there. They need to turn it over 14 times a year. So we enable them to be able to do that through our tech stack. And then, of course, most importantly, the people that are at my heart, the small businesses, the small retailers, with this, that 4% margin, that's turning into like 12, 15% margin. That's the difference between not paying for their kids' college education and being able to pay for it. And that, for us, is fundamentally what we're all about. We're all about democratizing trade, making world trade happen across the supply chain for all those different moving parts, enable them to be able to trade much more efficiently together. And I've been told I've got 2 minutes left. 1 minute left. No problem. We're a private company, so you probably saw from my accent, we're a British company. We're not listed on AIM, no, we're a private company. Yes, we may consider listing on the public markets at some point. What we're trying to do actually is really, we're trying to raise brand awareness around obviously our brand, but I think importantly we're using these conferences to really, because I mean you guys, you know exactly what we're talking about. You have clients and customers like this that are in this situation. So we're really trying to raise the awareness around what we're pioneering here, pioneering this concept of open commerce, the second generation of e-commerce, and how we can collectively take much more responsibility in frankly saving our economy and making not only the US but making world economy great again, democratizing trade, enabling small businesses to flourish in the internet economy. That's not the way it's working at the moment, and that's the way it needs to work going forward. And that's what really fundamentally what we stand for. I think importantly though, we're a company that's making money doing that, and we're making money doing that because our customers are making money. It's a win-win for everybody. We're using basket pricing basically. So we're using our kind of purchasing power, trading power, and we've linked multiple third-party payment processing providers, and we've basically negotiated hard to get those rates down. And of course, we're extremely optimistic for the future around that. I fundamentally believe that the cost of payments is going to drastically reduce over the next 2 years. And it needs to, right? Because small businesses just can't afford to support that. Yeah. The revenue off the back of that is currently sitting at around about 40 million ARR, and we expect to be around about 70 by the end of this year. We've got the contracts we signed with brands. So the way we work, I think I may have mentioned, is that we sign brands up, and those brands basically provide us with their supply chain problem to go and fix. And so we collect our take rate from doing that. And so the contracts we've got signed up actually cover us extensively right across that revenue stream going out for the next 16 months. No, we don't charge minimums at all. We don't charge subscription fees. So it's when a brand signs for us, they sign for a take rate based on volume going through our platform, and that's what they sign for. We found that was a much easiest way of doing it. Thank you very much indeed. I hope you enjoy my stay. Thank you very much.